I purchased some super glue from the Dollar Tree, and I really wanted to just fix some of the things that were broken that I kept putting off. So I bought these little miniature thingies, and I finished fixing some of the articles that I had that were broken, but at the end I had some leftover super glue, and since these were miniature version, you can't put a cap on it. So I wanted to try to make a little experiment to see how it would turn out so I could finish using the rest of the glue. I am just very bad at throwing stuff away, so I wanted to figure out how to repurpose it. For the fixing part, I actually never really used super glue. I only have one memory of attempting it before, and all I remember is that I ended up having to cut my own skin with some nail clippers because it got glued together. So I've always stayed away from super glue after that, but I knew I had to figure out how to fix these things that were broken. And I also had a feeling that super glue was the easiest way to go about it, even if I had to risk my skin. Now, I do think that because of the size of the little application tool, it made it easier to manage to not get a whole bunch of glue on my fingers. And it also gave me a lot of precision as to where to put things and how to just explore the different ways that it could be used, because I didn't know that it could be used on metal, on fabric, on ceramics, on everything in between. I was just guessing and hoping for the best. Now, like I mentioned, I wanted to experiment a little, and I had this cardboard from the back of a notebook that I used up. For some reason, I felt like I could use it for something, so I kept it. And I had a few scraps, so I decided to make a quick sketch of a cat, of course, some cat decorations, and see if I could use super glue to glue fabric to it. So really make some fabric wall art, or desk art in my case since it's so small. I started out trying to put the glue down first, which of course it's super glue, so it dried way too fast, so I had to reapply glue around the edges. And then I grabbed this fabric scrap that I had to cut with some pretty scissors, and I wanted to make it almost like a flower, so I was trying to make like a little cat with a halo. And I didn't know if I folded it and put the super glue down, if they would like glue to each other or if it would like fall apart. But surprisingly, even though the glue was starting to run out at this point, it did hold up. So then when it came time for finishing off that middle section, the halo area, I realized that I needed my cat to be a good measurement of where to make the turns for the halo. So I started working on the cat. It was just a really rough idea cutting it. I think if I had chosen the different type of fabric, maybe like a cotton, this wouldn't have been as challenging. But because the scrap bag I grabbed was the fancy fabrics, then it made the project way more challenging than I anticipated. But thankfully, since I love cats, I'm always drawing them or painting them, then I was able to at least make the red fabric look like a cat. And after I finished it, I got to finish gluing down the halo and then adding the cat. And because of the type of fabric I decided to use, it did make it more challenging because the super glue essentially stains the fabric. So I put it at the bottom since I knew I wanted to add some grass, and I put it towards the middle of the head so it would be a sort of collar on the cat. Now the grass was something that I had sketched out, but I wasn't 100% sure on how I was going to make that happen. But then I remembered I had this fabric scrap that would be perfect for it without too much of a hassle, since these lighter weight fabrics seem to hold up really well with the super glue. And then when it came time for the bow, usually you sew it all together and then you sew the outside little piece to it. But because this was a full super glue project with no other materials, or at least I was trying to make it be Then I folded up the bow just like I would have for any other project. Then added some super glue, closed it on one side and then the other, so I would get that pretty bow front. It was a little messy, but that was kind of the feel I was going for, I think, for this project specifically, because of the materials I was using. It was just not meant to be this perfect thing. And just in general, I am a fan of a little ruggedness. So when I finished the front of it, basically I didn't want the top of it to just be like folded down flat. I thought it would give it like a nice perspective since the sides were rugged, but my super glue did run out, so I did have to end up using a little bit of tape because I'm just stubborn once I have an idea and something I want to make happen. But that was the only other ingredient that I used in my little crafting experiment. And I think in the end, my little crafting experiment really worked out, considering I got to fix everything I needed and make this cute little wall art. Be sure to subscribe for more crafting experiments and DIYs from me and my mom.